Okay, thank you so much, Richard, for hosting such an awesome panel discussion. So we are at our final speaking event for the day. We've planned for you a panel discussion titled AI Meets Web3, Pioneering Next Generation Innovation. This panel will be moderated by Vivi Lee, who is the partner of Omnity Network, and our panelists include Jamil Sheikh, founder of Model X, as well as Anup Nanra, co-founder and CEO of TrueGuard, and he will be joined with Jeff Shu, founder of Exchange Digital. So last but not least, please join me in welcoming our final panelists and our moderator.
Thank you, Nicholas. Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the grand finale of the summit. Right, how are you guys doing? I know that you have heard and learned a lot from our amazing speakers from the previous sessions, but we saved some of the best for last. So my name is Vivi Lin, a partner of Omnity Network, and I'm also an advocate of AI and Web3. So I'm very honored to moderate the sessions with our amazing innovators. And you know, when we talk about Web3 meets AI, there are actually two schools of thought. You know, we see strong proponents who see strong synergy of Web3 and AI, and they envision a future where decentralized AI systems empowering individuals and foster innovation. But on the other hand, we also have skeptics who question whether decentralized systems could meet the high demand of AI when it comes to model performance, data security, and scalability, etc. So to carry this conversation further, let's welcome our amazing panelists. Jamel from ModelX.ai, and Jamel is actually bringing years of experience from Wall Street, and now he's developing a distributed AI infrastructure. And we're going to talk more about that later. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for having me here. So I've got a background. I've been working in banking for over 20 years, like banks like you may have heard of Lehman Brothers, JP Morgan, a couple other banks. I was actually doing fixed income trading and equities trading. I also do, we have a services business in blockchain that I've been running for 7 years called Siphon, used to be called Chain House, and we have enterprise clients like Vodafone and Accenture, and we build all these solutions for them. We just started building Model X. Model X is a model exchange, and it is distributed AI. We emphasize distributed and not decentralized. That's a whole other conversation we can have why we're not saying decentralized. I'm a professor at a couple different universities in New York and in Asia. I'm currently writing a book on the intersection of generative AI and finance for Columbia University Press. I run the largest blockchain community in New York City. It's called Blockchain NYC. We're about 40,000 people. And I do a bunch of events. You may have heard of DeFiCon and DC Summit and things like that. So lots of different things, but we're kind of now focused on Model X and trying to bring a solution that makes sense in terms of the convergence between Web3 and AI to enterprises.
Thank you, Jamel. So Jamel really wears a lot of hats, and we're going to dive deeper into your stories. And we have Anup, who is an expert in blockchain and cybersecurity. Welcome, Anup. Would you like to just introduce briefly about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely, thank you. And once again, it's an honor to be here. So I'm Anup Nanra, co-founder, CEO of TrueGuard. We've built what I describe as the Google search engine of smart contract risk and threat intelligence, right? So Vitalik has been saying for many years now that smart contracts are the single biggest pain point and single biggest risk in the entire blockchain space. And so we said, okay, well, let's understand what that actually means and do that at scale. So we've built a platform that continually ingests smart contracts at scale. We dissect every smart contract. We go down to the assembly level. of the execution. We understand what the risks are, what the nature of that is, what the velocity of the risks are, how are these used in coordinated efforts to, steal money, and what have you. And so we're using, a variety of tools and techniques to do that. We didn't jump straight into using AI because, that's a rat's nest that is very easy to get lost in. My first foray into AI was as a freshman in high school, where I hand-wired a 4-neuron neural network. And if anyone who's ever done that, bless you, because that is not exactly an easy thing to do, especially for someone who's in grade 9. So after that, spent a bit of time at Cisco. I was the general manager and founder of Cisco's blockchain business. While I was there, I started the world's first blockchain and IoT industry group. We looked at a number of really interesting use cases, but the number one thing we wanted to ask was, how do we actually describe this to the average person, right? Like, forget about blockchain, forget about IoT, and there were sprinklings of AI in there as well. But how do we actually communicate this to the average person on the road? Like, we're all practitioners here. We all understand it, we all get it, but the average Joe doesn't. And I also helped start the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance way back when. And for a short period of time, I was running the blockchain partner business at AWS and then started TrueGuard. That's a little bit about me.
So Amnu also has a special focus on responsible AI, right? The ethical AI. So we're going to also dive a little bit into this aspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we have Jeff. Welcome. Jeff actually brings also his decade of experience in renewable energy into AI and Web3. And Jeff, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Okay. Hello, folks. Yeah, my name is Jeff. Currently, I live in Texas, Austin. I'm a founder of Excharger Digital. So let us imagine what the future EV charger look like to you. It's not accessibility. I think it's also the cleaner, and also you can let your charger make the perfect powerhouse to share your charger and earn benefits. That's why we chose Web3, and also that's why I'm very excited in the innovations here with Excharger Digital. I think the future, the renewable energy should be the community drive. It's not centralized. So that's why Excharge we think that together can apport to the net zero. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so all of your founders and also you incorporate Web3 with AI in your project. And like we said earlier, that the two schools of thought. So I would like to throw this question to you. Why, or do you think that AI needs Web3 or vice versa, and why is that? Let's start from Jamil.
Sure. I think it's a little presumptuous to say AI needs Web3. Maybe you have this kind of savior mentality. The AI is a $1 trillion market, and I think Web3 can't even help itself right now, right? There's too many problems for us to be able to go up to some people in the AI space and say, hey, we're here to help you. We're here to help you. That being said, there are maybe some opportunities between the two. I think there's a lot more conversation around the convergence of the two than there's substance. There isn't a lot of substance, right? And I go to AI conferences and I go to blockchain conferences, and the two are like, fresh water and salt water, right? They don't really mix that well. And so I've been doing AI for a long time. Like machine learning is a normal thing in banking, and I've been teaching machine learning at the graduate level for like 7, 8 years. So like what AI is and how it works and neural networks work and things like that is nothing new. And then I've been working on blockchain for 6, 7 years, actually a little bit longer. I started mining in 2012. And so like, okay, where do these things converge? And we started thinking about this in 2018, 2019. I think decentralized AI is a pipe dream. Like I think a lot of things decentralized don't go anywhere. They like the market, like if you walk around the campus right now and ask people, do you know about staking and restaking? They will like, are you talking about tenths? Like, what do you mean stake? What do you want to stake? right? You want to have a stake, you want to, like, they won't understand. So the market for decentralized things is very tiny, and we do have decentralized protocols like BitTensor, but who's using it? Like, who's going to use it on a regular basis? Our view is, like, let's go to the buyers, the enterprises and the business and the institutions, and say, look, if we can do this, would you find that valuable? And we might happen to use blockchain for that, right? And so we've come up with an approach where we do federated learning. If you're familiar with federated learning, it's the idea that I can take an AI model, and let's say you have data. I give you my AI model in an encrypted format. You can't see the weights and the biases. You train the AI model on your data, and then I get a new version of that AI model, and I pay you, right? So there's no loss of privacy. And blockchain can act as a coordinator. Federated learning is not new. It's been around for some time. And the way it's done right now is there's a central server, there's a vendor that sets it up, charges $1 million, and a bunch of different companies come together and they cross-train each other, and that's called federated learning. What blockchain can do is act as a coordinator, and therefore I don't need to pay a vendor $1 million. I've got free infrastructure. And is that a value proposition? And the conversations we had with enterprises, like, yeah, that's interesting. I can do ad hoc, ephemeral networks. I can say, all right, these 4 people, I'm going to cross-train my AI network with their data. We can partner for that transaction. AI models get smarter, and who doesn't want to make their AI model smarter? And we pay each other, and we're done, and we move on. And so what Model X is a market and infrastructure to be able to do that, and a token. If you want to use a token, you can use fiat as well. And our token symbol, we're in our pre-seed round, we raised almost $1 million. Our token symbol is AI. So we're more on the AI side, and we happen to use blockchain, and we don't think decentralized AI is gonna go very, very far outside of the mainstream. I mean, it's not gonna go outside, I mean, it won't go into the mainstream, it won't go outside of this kind of degen world. It'll stay in that. If you look at DeFi total value lock right now is $120 billion. It's a tiny drop in the bucket of things. So, like, and AI is probably $1 trillion market. So where do we want to be? We want to be in that $1 trillion market, and that's where we're moving towards.
Cool. So but you're still a proponent of AI with the kind of like the usage of blockchain or Web3, some aspects of Web3. So instead of calling yourself decentralization, you said distributed.
Yeah, distributed in the sense that an AI model can tether to the blockchain. It can hang itself to a blockchain and do things via the blockchain, but it doesn't need to. It could be made known to the world through the blockchain. An AI model exists. Most AI models exist behind firewalls, and they're not going to come out, right? And so to interact with an AI model, if somebody wants to monetize an AI model that sits behind a firewall, they could with what we're building. The AI model registers itself to a blockchain, and that's it. I can go through the blockchain and find AI models, but I'm not going to do inference through the blockchain. I'm not going to store any AI models on blockchain, right? And blockchain is more like a coordinating mechanism.
Yeah.
Maybe manages a business process.
So it's more of the realistic and more practical kind of approach.
I think it's like that's how we could make money.
Yeah. Okay. How about Anoop? What's your view on that?
Yeah, so you know, when we started TrueGuard, we didn't just jump in and say, hey, let's start using a bunch of AI stuff to, you know, go after this problem space. We really wanted to understand, well, what is the data set first
You're more
around
of
this
the
problem
Web3
space.
native project.
Yeah,
Right? So
and
smart contracts,
so we're
assessments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're looking very specifically at smart contracts. You know, we don't do audits, we don't do transaction monitoring or modeling or anything like that. We want to really understand what is the nature of the risk that exists or can exist in and around smart contracts. And we've spent a lot of time kind of understanding the data set, understanding the facets of risk that exist or that can be introduced. And then we said, okay, well, now how do we accelerate the discovery or the prediction of these risk facets that we've uncovered? And so, you know, for every AI algorithm that we can come up with, we can also come up with a non-AI based approach to identifying the exact same thing. In some cases, 10 times faster and cheaper, right? In other cases, you actually do need an AI model, right? And so, you know, in our platform, we look for over 5,000 different parameters of risk that exist in the smart contract landscape in this space. But, you know, step aside from blockchain and smart contracts, what we're really doing is understanding the risk in software, right? And software supply chain risk is a massive problem. And there's many, many exploits that can be injected. Anyone who's been in the crypto space will remember the Ledger hack, which was not an attack on the actual Ledger device itself. It was a software supply chain hack, right? So someone actually injected some JavaScript into the build process. And so, you know, these are the kinds of things that we're now starting to uncover in the smart contract space. And then also, as a kind of a byproduct of what we do and how we do it, we're also now understanding kind of the viral distribution, if you will, around smart contract risk. So being able to identify campaigns of coordinated smart contract deployments that exist across multiple protocols concurrently. And, you know, individually, you might look at these and be like, oh yeah, that's an interesting contract. Well, this one's kind of gnarly, or this one's kind of funky over here. But until you actually look at them as an ecosystem across the entire space, then you start realizing, no, there are actually coordinated efforts designed to steal assets, devalue assets, right? And so using our platform, people are able to really identify that in a very simple way, right? The opportunity around, I think, blockchain and AI, you know, at times I say they can be each other's killer use case, but it's more towards Jamil's comments as an orchestrator, as a you know, an organizer of resources, right? So as an infrastructure person, you know, I like software-defined networks, right? So software-defined anything to, in real time, orchestrate a solution that is ephemeral, that allows you to, you know, onboard data, maybe do some training, deliver some insights, and then disappear, I think is a potential application. The question becomes around what is the efficacy of all this, right? And how do you prove that? So I think that's part of the work that needs to be done still. It's all pause there.
Yeah, interesting. And Jeff, because so in Anoop's case, is basically AI empowering Web3. But in your case, because you are building the EV charging networks, and how do you incorporate Web3 and AI together? And in the sense that, you know, do you think that in your own practical use case, do you think AI needs Web3 or Web3 needs AI, or like how does it work in your case?
Yeah, for the X-Charge, we are combined, say. Yeah, so for X-Charge, I think for Web3 is providing the transparency and decentralized and have the tokenization, the opportunities, encourage our individual customer. Example, you are a homeowner, your home have a charger. We encourage you share your charger to connect our platform, and we have your benefits, and who need a charge, they can go to your home to use that charger, and that's our case. For AI can help us to predict the user charger behavior and to forecast the future the electricity price, and through our apps can help user to know what time the charger is cheaper, what time charger is good choice. Yeah.
So basically, you're using both tools, using Web3 to incentivize users, and then you use AI to make the whole network smarter.
Yes, correct. Yeah, AI. We call the AI OT. Is what that mean? It means we use the AI address the operation technology similar the charger. The charger that's equipment. The solar panel also is equipment, and the battery also equipment. We use the AIoT, the edge computing box to manage all the equipment, and let the AI model to predict the future electricity price and electricity demand to balance the demand side and supply side.
I
Yeah.
see. I see. Very interesting. You both have very kind of diverse views on with AI meeting Web3. And so I would like to just kind of dive deeper into your startup journeys and what kind of mistakes, for example, if you would like to share like some of the biggest mistakes that in your journey that you could share, and how would you do that differently when it comes to just the convergence of Web3 and AI? Like, because Anup, like for example, mentioned that you didn't arrive at the AI solution in the beginning after a lot of explorations and experiments, right? So I would like to hear each one of you to share a little bit of the challenges and also the mistakes that you made, and what would you do differently now? From
Yeah, I
Janelle
made a
first.
lot of mistakes, and I continue to make them. I made a lot today. Um, Probably make a lot more in the afternoon and evening today. But I would say that the biggest mistake, maybe I can't tell you that, the second biggest mistake that I've made is probably buying into ideology, right? And aligning my business model around ideology, right? Which the Web3 space and even the AI space is full of, right?
So could you elaborate a little bit what exactly do you mean by ideology?
Ideology is meaning like a vision of the future that you're forcing it to exist based on some set of principles that you may believe in, right? And maybe reality is not ready for that, or it's not the right reality, or people are not ready for that, and business is not ready for that. There's no value proposition there, and all those kinds of things. And I think like 2017, 2018, when I was getting into the blockchain space at that time, it was heavy, and there still is, but this heavy ideology, and I think that may have prevented and blinded me to how does this actually help a customer or help somebody improve their life and things like that.
So what was the ideology then for you?
I
It's
think
like
the
a
I think,
decentralized world? Or
Yeah, it's a
what is it?
decentralized. Like let's talk about Bitcoin and what the original use case of blockchain was for money, right? But nobody's using it for money, right? At the end of the day,
A democratization.
if you use stable
democratization of-
coins, it's just a proxy for fiat currency. I use USDT or USDC. It's just a proxy for the same thing. We've come full circle. Bitcoins are sitting in, with BlackRock, right? So like, what did we accomplish past 7, 8, 10 years, right? And that meant we consider Web3 success, or the blockchain space consider it successful based on Bitcoin's price, right? Which has nothing to do with the original idea of what it was meant for, which is financial inclusion and freedom and things like that. So, yeah, I did buy into that, and I still buy into it. I think maybe it's taking longer than I wanted to take, but in the meantime, I still have to pay for food, and I've got to make a living. So, what do I build that people like take my money now, right? The value proposition. So people say like, oh, Web3 has a UI problem, and I'm like, that's disingenuous to say that it has a UI problem. It has a value proposition problem.
Larger than that.
It's much larger than that. It's a value proposition problem. Why should I use it, right? I'm perfectly okay with Venmo.
So are you saying that you are applying the same kind of idea to democratizing AI? Like you need to
Yeah.
make money first. You need to kind of think about a product market fit and be
Yeah,
realistic.
I don't believe in democratized AI. I don't think there is such a thing. It's like saying we're going to democratize nuclear missiles. How do you do, everybody should have one. How does it work? The people that have AI, really powerful AIs, they will never let it be democratized. The open AIs are going to pour billions of dollars into it. And it's a reality. Now, like, okay, at the retail level, my photos on my phone, if you want to train your AI on the photos on my phone, so pay me. Okay, cool. That might work, right? On the edge computing and things like that. But a lot of money is going to go into maintaining AI and these companies maintaining AI. And I think we kind of delude ourselves to say, you know what, Web3 is going to democratize this. Because we take the space that we want to be in, AI, which has a ton of money, and we add into it this kind of glorious term called democracy. And we're like, all right, now we're good people, right? And I don't know what the value proposition is. And if there is a value proposition, it's going to take 10, 20 years to get there.
Yeah, interesting. I do see a lot of views, saying similar about like OpenAI, for example. They've openly said that. But I would like to hear whether Anup or Jeff, do you have the similar idea or a different idea when it comes to that?
So I don't know if it's a mistake or not, but like one of the things when we did decide to start looking at AI as an enabler of, you know, how do we build our product faster, better, you know, we went the route of looking at a variety of tools that are commercially available, and they're great, but actually operationalizing them and putting them in place to actually help your product grow and grow faster is a pain in the ass. MLOps is still one of the single biggest, weakest links in this space, right? If you look at the Gartner hype cycle, it's still on the far left, right, of the hype cycle. It hasn't even made its way up the curve yet, right? So MLOps is still a massive pain point, and I think until we solve that, I think we're still going to see, you know, kind of slower progress in this space than we would like, right? I mean, yes, there's a lot of tools out there, but that's because the folks who have built those algorithms and those tools that we all use now, they've put tens of millions of dollars into building that infrastructure and those platforms. You know, as a cash-strapped seed stage startup, we can't afford to do that, right? And so, you know, you gotta place your bets. You gotta be able to decide very quickly if this is something that is going to help you move the yardstick in your journey. And if it's not something that you can literally turn on in a couple of days, it's probably not worth doing it right at this moment, right? So, you know, the ops side I think is still a major pain point that we still have to all kind of figure that out.
Interesting. But I think actually when it comes, well, let Jeff share your views first and then.
Yeah, I think for the Web3 step project or the AI step project, you should be not be early, not be early large sum tokens like that. I think be focused on what's the value what's the value creation and what's the real problem your product have your customer to solve that. I think that's very important. And as a startup founder, please do not as a speculator. It's a long term, you know. It's a long term. We need startup. I think we should have some impact. Like currently, you know, our world is a climate change. So I think we need have a strong passion and to solve real world challenger. Not just building some mini course, some that's no value. As for my opinion.
Yeah. So I think that's a great point. If we listen to Jamel and Anoop and Jeff, basically, as innovators and entrepreneurs, we need to solve real problems, and then we need to be realistic in market product fit, and then about solving the problems instead of just be obsessed with certain ideology or ideas. But I mean, like for democratizing AI, I do talk to a lot of startups and who are. I think, in my view, is democratizing AI is not a destination. It's a work in progress, right? So like there are many process and layers, and people can democratizing the GPUs and democratizing the agents, or maybe the big or small models. And so it's a work in progress. But I think it's great to have, to listen to both views. And I think we are kind of running low on time, but I would like to open the floor, and then we can come back for the closing question. And okay, go ahead, this gentleman. Yeah, could we give the microphone?
So for the legitimate smart contracts, like USDC and other things that people rely on, did you find any holes in anything?
So there's a couple of ways to answer that question. Generally, smart contracts that are deployed by institutions, there's a lot of rigor that goes into building those, right? Sometimes there's source code that can be independently reviewed, that's published, that's great. sometimes, and usually with institutions, there's an audit report, right? And that's great. The challenge is there are a lot of copycat contracts that are designed to be set up as phishing contracts, right? So phishing is one of the largest, it's not even an exploit, just attack patterns that exists in this space, right? So as an example, when PayPal launched PYUSD, right, great, highly celebrated in the Web3 sphere, within 24 hours, there are 35 copycats designed to steal money pretending to be PYUSD, right? And so, you know, we're finding these by the hundreds in our platform, right? And it's kind of alarming and frankly embarrassing at the same time to the volume at which we're discovering these, right? And then just general mistakes that we see constantly in smart contracts, right? And so in our platform, you know, we don't rely on entirely source code. We go down to the assembly level to find these vulnerabilities and exploits and just scams and associating all that. But that's the kind of risk that Vitalik has been talking about for years. And I think we're well suited to at least surface these.
Thank you, Anup. Anyone? Okay, cool. So let's have the last question, and just to take it light, and about this topic, AI meets Web3. What would you like to be the takeaway for all the audience to take back for people, especially entrepreneurs who are striving to make it work in this space, the convergence of AI and Web3? What would you like them to take away with? Who would like to start first? Yeah.
I'll take a first crack at that. So always ask the question why, and once you've convinced yourself of why, explain it to a 5-year-old. If you can't explain it in 5 minutes to a 5-year-old, it's probably the wrong reason. Simple as that.
Yeah, I would just say that the convergence of AI and blockchain, very early days, and the right value proposition will emerge at some point in the next coming years. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for entrepreneurs to go in and find that value proposition and tap into this enormous wealth that's going to be generated in the AI sector.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, for me, I think it doesn't matter AI or Web3. The first principle is it's need a real problem we need to solve. I think that's an entrepreneur spirit. That's a step prayed. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's great because we need to have dreams, but then we need to keep our feet on the ground as well, right? And we need to educate the market and be clear. And thank you so much, and thank you for staying to the end. Hope you have a great session. Thank you.